Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And yes, it has been a while since I've done a show. That's true. And I know many of you have missed me. I know I've missed you too. But we are back now. And I'm doing something which I haven't done that often. It's only with the second time probably in about a month or so. But I decided to bring on a guest. And the guest I'm bringing on is someone who I think is very apropos for what's happening across New York State. You've heard me many times talk about the issues that are happening across New York State with our farmers. You know that I was supporting RFK Jr., trying to have us have obviously better food. I'm behind Alex Fasulo here in New York State, who's trying to help out small farmers. So there's someone here who I want to bring up who is talking about regenerative farming. And to be forward, for me, it has been that's a relatively new term for me. I probably learned about it probably 2023, maybe 2024. So for me, a very new term. For a lot of people, not, but for me, kind of new. And I'm not an expert at it at all, And I think I wanted to have that kind of person have a conversation because it really does matter. And it's going to be a great show. And you know it is. So before I even get there, do me a favor, click that button, Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. You know the one. That's the one that clicks so that people will see it. You know people should see it. And of course, share this right now, repost this right now so more people can see it wherever it is so we can get more people to see this to the best of our ability. Please do so. While I'm at it, though, I do want to bring on, he is a fifth-generation farmer. He is a former advisor to RFK Jr. He is the one and only Steve Jarvis. How are you, sir?
Hey, very good, Larry. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, listen, we'll just crank right into this. So my wife is fifth generation dairy. I'm fifth generation cattle and orchards, vegetables. We were agriculture year in 2010, and then 2011 we were out of business. We shipped to 10 grocery stores. We farmed on 35 acres there in Texas, shipped to 10 grocery stores. RFK just came to my farm this last summer. I was an advisor to him. And I wrote a plan to create 1 million new 40-acre farms in the United States of America. And not only to create 1 million new 40-acre farms, but it was to create 10,000 new processing centers. My processing team had $2 billion when I went to Washington, D.C. and spoke. And guess what? You know what the government did with it? Nothing.
Yes, I'm not surprised. So let me touch a couple of these. All right. The first thing I want to bring up here is you are talking about new farms. And in my state, New York, the opposite is happening. We are having small farmers go out of business left and right to the point where there are so many farmers that they have to have a job. Like their farm winds up becoming a hobby for them because they can't make enough money to keep their farm up and running. And worse, we find people who their families don't stay, right? Their sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, they all pack up and they leave. This is a big problem in my state. When you're saying new farms, is regenerative farming, is that a way for these small farmers to survive?
No. My son's left too. Okay.
There we go. Yep.
Listen, and Larry, listen, this is not a New York State problem. This is an American problem. And I wrote a plan, and my farm plan was $375 billion to pump this thing, to do a D-Day type recharge the agrarian society, crank up 250,000 brand new farms, create the farm corps, just like the Army Corps of Engineers. RFK came to my farm. I explained this to him. It's in writing. If you want to go to my website, it's sas-usa.com. You go to the important links. You can go to the bottom down there, and you'll see my farm plan that is in there. And that farm plan would have created 250,000 farms in 2025. It would create 250,000 farms in 2026. We need 1 million new 40-acre farms in order to get us back to a net zero importer. And the thing about it is,
hold on. Let me touch that piece, because that's the thing that people, I think, don't really know. They don't get that at all, is that there is a concern here that our food is going to come either from the laboratory or a foreign country. So it's going to come either from Brazil or Argentina or wherever, or it's going to come from a lab. Is that what you're talking about when what you just said?
Well, Larry, I'm batting 1,000 on the conspiracy theory level because here's the deal. I'm batting 1,000 now that we know that, everything is all the conspiracy theories, like guys like me that don't have I barely graduated high school and I did flunk college. So, but I can tell you that I'm one of the best farmers in the country. And when Costco came out with lab grown, it is lab grown. But when Costco came out with tallow for $19 for a 2-pack of quart cooking tallow, I call bullshit on it. And the reason I did is because me and my wife have rendered our tallow and we cook with tallow, and half a year we cook. And if you go to my farm school, I teach all this stuff: how to grow your own food, how to butcher your own meat, pork, all this stuff. And rendering tallow is huge. When I saw tallow going into
Costco, but I want to go back to are you saying the tallow didn't come from America?
No, it came from Spain. There's a lab in Spain. There's a lab in Spain. Listen, you can Google this stuff yourself. There's a lab in Spain, and what they do is they lab grow chicken fat, lab grow pork fat, beef fat, and that's what they're doing because they know the American people now know that fat is good. And Bobby Kennedy flipped the food pyramid, which is sprayed with Roundup, but we won't go into that right now. But what I want to tell you is this stuff is fake, folks. Listen. Larry might want to have me on at least once a month just to keep you up to speed on what's going on, because I'm 5th generation and I've been in this stuff from the very beginning. I helped write the rules for organic meats for the state of Texas. And Brooke Rollins was she was director of policy under Rick Perry when all of our farms got destroyed in Texas, and she's doing exactly the same thing she did.
Well, hold on. I want to go. No. You're going down a different road. Stay on the road. I'm worried about this road. What you just said, Spain. So Spain, see, there's a problem that we have across, and I'm going to bring it back to New York for a second, because Spain also controls our energy. Mm-hmm. So we have foreign companies controlling so much. I'm getting concerned about this, right? New York grew up on 3 things. It exploded on farming, finance, and forward thinking. And farming, most people don't know, New York is often in the top 5, almost always in the top 5 of dairy farming and farming products throughout the country. Sometimes, depends on the year, top 3, but always in the top 5. We're very much an agricultural state, but the problem that's happening is the smaller farmers are going away, and it's all becoming massive farms. Yes. And then, of course, massive farm means Roundup. Massive farm means foreign ownership. Massive farm means, maybe not the best food. And you often talk about things like nutrient-dense food. Mm-hmm. If I get foreign, just because it's foreign, and this is an ignorance question at my point, just because it's foreign, does that mean it's not as good? Could we get good nutrient-dense food out of Brazil or Argentina or Spain? Is that possible or no?
Larry, years and years ago, I used to tell people there was a huge weight gain among women years ago. Women couldn't lose weight. Mm-hmm. And they were eating salads and zucchini and cucumbers and tomatoes, and they were eating all this stuff on these huge diets, and they were gaining weight. And I told my wife, I said, the reason those women are gaining weight, well, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a hillbilly farmer here. But I said the reason that they're gaining weight is because that food is dead. There is no nutrient density left in that food. Because
now, how do you gain weight? I don't get it.
Because the body, after 3 days, so let's just say, Larry, you call me up and you want some zucchini from me in Idaho, and I ship it to you, and let's say it takes 6 days to get to you.
Okay.
Almost 100% of the nutrient density is gone in that zucchini by the time it gets to you.
Well, that's not good.
No, and the microbes, this is the problem, what people don't realize. There's things that are living in this food. And when it's alive and you eat it, your body identifies it. And the problem is you eat a zucchini and the microbes, and there's nothing living left in it, maybe 50%. You've kept it in the refrigerator for a week, and now you're chopping it up. It looks perfect, tastes perfect, but there's nothing alive in it. Your body cannot identify that as the good nutrients it needs in order to be healthy. Now, this is just from a hillbilly.
And it turns it into fat then.
Yes, because your body doesn't know what to do with it. It goes, hey, I don't know what this is. This is time out. Throw it in the garage. Put it in the garage for a while. And
put some junk in the trunk. I got you.
Put some junk in the trunk, put some pack in the sack, and that's what happens. And people don't realize that they're going to the grocery store, they're buying this food, and people don't realize that this stuff has been sprayed with all that stuff and this new appeal stuff. Shelf life is what matters. When I was growing up in the farms around me when I was a boy, listen, you had to harvest everything before 10 o'clock in the morning because of field heat. Field heat destroys food. It only lasts on the shelf about 3 days. And grocery stores lost a lot of money on that stuff. And they know that by getting you to go in there and buy these products and buy these things, and we could go down the big farmer road if you wanted to, but if they know if the food is junk, you can't ship food from Argentina. You can't ship food from Chile. You can't ship stuff. You can't CO2 gas apples. I used to ship.
But hold on, but don't we freeze it or take out all freeze dried or what? I mean, I don't know the details, but don't we somehow preserve it? It doesn't the preserve. In other words, if it comes out of Brazil, don't I like freeze it or something or whatever is the methodology, and then they send it here? Isn't that still good or no?
Well, vegetables are not frozen because you can't freeze Now, there are packages that are frozen, but you can't freeze fresh vegetables because once you freeze it and thaw it out, it really falls apart.
Got it. Okay. So when they're shipping, they're not actually freezing them. Someone told me, if I remember this right, they were talking about bananas and such. They were saying some of the fruit and things that they actually cut so early they're not ripe at all, that they ripen on the way as they travel. Is that true?
There's no seeds in the bananas. Folks, cut your banana open. There's no seeds in it anymore. Something's up. It's bioengineered. And please help me. Why is Clabber Girl baking powder bioengineered? If you don't think that they're bioengineering all this food and doing that way, and the reason is because if you're not healthy, you go to the doctor and they make bank.
Well, you're not wrong there. RFK Jr. said it. He said the most profitable thing in America is a sick kid. And it was horrible when he said that. Let me grab a couple of comments here since we're people popping on. I have a couple of super chats. Lunatic, thank you for $2. All centralized systems are failed. I agree. And I like the idea of many more smaller family farms. I like the idea of farm to table, farm to school, not having to go to the government first, selling directly farm to school, directly farm to table. Is this a future for us, Steve, or am I just fooling myself?
Well, Larry, you're running for governor. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you go into my important links on sas-usa.com, underneath the links there is called the Farmers and Ranchers Declaration of Independence. In that Farmers and Ranchers Declaration of Independence, you have to have somebody in power. That means you have to have a governor that says, hey, boys and girls, if you want to go buy or sell or whatever you want to do from a ranch or a dairy or somebody that grows vegetables in your area, you can do that. You can do it on a handshake, and the FDA has no power. We in America used to thrive on the small 40-acre farm. That's what fed Americans in World War I, World War II, and all the way up through Vietnam and Korea until the big guys and big ag and big pharmacy got in. So the Farmers and Ranchers Declaration of Independence on my thing is basically tells the federal government to screw off. And the only person that can do that is a governor. So if you're a governor and you're going to do that, that's your game changer for your people from the city to the country. Here's the deal.
I love that.
The people in the rural areas need to sell their products, and the people in the city need good products. But the problem is the FDA, the EPA, and all the other three-letter agencies out there, they're all in the way. So the declaration tells them to screw off.
Well, this is funny because I know that Wyoming has a similar law. And one of the laws I was going to put up in New York State was the idea that if you agree just with a simple signing a sheet of paper like this is perfect example. Hey, I'm only going to sell within New York State. Great. You are immune from all federal regulatory bodies, just immune. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. The only issue would be, of course, you would have to be transparent and let people know, hey, I'm not following federal guidelines. And I think if you did that, most people would say, yeah, I don't care. Because we see it across, when I travel upstate New York, it is very often that you see farm stands and people just go by and buy. They don't know if they're following federal guidelines. They trust the local farmers. People have been buying it forever. And one thing I always often say is, you want to try to find a local diner that is far enough away from a city so you know it came from an actual farm.
Yeah.
So yes.
And that's the thing about it is it should be the people of New York's ability to go, look, I'm going to Sam. Sam has a dairy. He wants to sell raw milk. I want to buy raw milk. They say raw milk will kill you. And if that was true, I'd be dead because I drank it all my life growing up. But if I want to buy raw milk and drink raw milk, fine.
I agree completely. Yes, I'm with you. I think on this we completely agree. And I like the idea, though, of the individual farmer being able to just kind of do as they see fit in that regard. And look, some people aren't going to trust the local farmers. Some people love government and they just want to, okay, great. Then go to Walmart and buy government stuff. I'm not going to stop you, but just don't let someone who doesn't want to do that. Let me walk down that road, because you have brought up the idea of I guess what you call the old ways of farming. Mm-hmm. And I think most people think, if you ask someone, hey, how can we make local farmers stronger, better, faster? They're going to say the opposite. They're going to say we need new technology, new this, new. And that's the way that we're going to be able to compete and do well. But you're saying the old way. Explain that.
So the old ways is high production on small acreage. When we farmed 35 acres, and this just not too long ago, folks, 2011 was the last year we did farm. We shipped 500,000 pounds of food off 35 acres to 10 grocery stores. People don't realize how much food you can grow. And you know what we don't do? We don't use glyphosate. We don't use all those herbicides and all that stuff.
Hey man, but Trump told me that was good for us because of the security or something.
Listen,
I'm teasing.
I'm with you. Giant farms can't do it because you have to plow your field. And then if you get into the purist people that say you can't plow because it's destroying the soil, that's false. My farm plan that I wrote for RFK and the Trump administration, it is the old ways. The old ways work. I'm the last farmer in the United States of America that writes the moon phase calendars in order to plant by. You have to use the signs of the zodiac and the moon phases. I know this sounds a little weird, folks, but your great-great-grandparents who came to this nation, maybe on a boat, or maybe they, from some other country or whatever, this was a normal thing that they used, and it made you successful. But the thing about it is, now we have this whole idea of all this new type of farming. We use all these chemicals. We didn't have them. We didn't have the chemicals, and we were too poor to buy them anyway.
Yeah. So you're saying that we need to be thinking the way the old ways so that we can actually be more effective.
It worked all the way up until 1989. It worked.
Okay.
I mean, we fed this. Wait a minute. We just didn't feed the nation. We fed the world. We fed and now we're importing 25% of our food. Up until 1989 and 89, we started going all this giant ag and giant spraying and bigger dairies. Oh, we got to go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Bigger is not better. Bigger is worse. And that's why we're in the shape we're in. For 40 years, they've been pushing us towards big ag, and now we're here.
D says, I've been told we can't feed the nation without GMOs and pesticides. And I've heard that too. This is a common thing we're being told. But I feel like there's a lot of pushback now, when if you were to go back 10, 15 years, there was hardly any pushback to this line.
Listen, the problem is the reason nobody knows this is I'm the youngest of the old farmers. I'm 57. This game is over almost, folks. This is what people don't realize. That's the reason I did last year. I filmed every single thing I did. It's an online farm school. It's $500. I showed every way we did it in the old days. This stuff is almost over. I'm 57. I'm not farming anymore. Last year was my last year. I grow food for myself, and I teach. And I do Zoom meetings and podcasts, try to educate people, say, listen, it's your turn. You got to step to the plate and do it, because we did do it. We fed the world. We didn't feed just America. We fed the world.
Michael says, I hope Texas legalizes marijuana for recreational purposes. This question makes me think about the idea of hemp. Do you have any views on hemp? I've always thought hemp farming, which we don't do really much at all in New York State, that hemp farming is also another crop that we just give to our farmers. And those who want to do hemp can create hemp products, hempcrete, hemp plastics, whatever they want to do. Do you have a view on that? I know it's not food, But do you have a view on that?
Larry, the last year that I was in farming in 2010, 2011, when we were going under, Ron Paul, if you remember him, he was trying to help Texas farmers put in 40 acres of hemp. He was trying to legalize hemp in the state of Texas to save the farms, because the problem was we were all going under because the Food Modernization Act made us stop being able to ship to grocery stores. We had to ship, instead of shipping 2 hours to Dallas, we were going to have to ship 6 hours one way to San Antonio. So this is the killer. It killed regional, in regions, it killed all the small guys. We couldn't ship any. It was too far to ship. So hemp was a big game. Larry, listen, I'm sorry, brother. I can talk to you about on any level of any farming. And let me tell you this, we're going to go real deep dive on this hemp thing. Do you know why they just did not allow us to grow hemp in the state of Texas?
Tell me why.
Because 40 acres of hemp takes care of CO2 for a city of 10,000. One 40-acre farm takes care of all the CO2 in a city of 10,000 people. That's a 40-acre farm of hemp takes care of all the CO2. Their climate change agenda would not have worked if the hemp farms would have went in, and you would have saved small agriculture if you would have done it.
Well, then how could all my climate change consultants get paid? I mean, Steve, they've got extra houses they have to buy. Like they probably have like a second or third house in Florida. Somebody got to pay for that. So I mean, right? That's what it is. It's a massive grift, right?
Well, listen, the thing about it is, when I was so disappointed because I thought that was going to allow me to continue to farm. I was like, okay, I've got all this irrigation. I've got all this ground. I need to make money. I'm good at farming. Let me do the hemp thing. I was with Ron Paul on that gig at that time. Like, yeah, let's change this. We can save the small agriculture farm. We can grow cattle and hogs on the side and a few vegetables and do the hemp as our main crop. Totally game changer. But then now that I was an advisor to RFK, then I started reading all the information of climate change and all this stuff of weather modification and all this stuff. What I found is in there is that buried deep into the 14,000 pages, hemp takes care of the problem of climate change. And that's why they don't want it.
There we go. All right. That was good. That was a good question, Michael. Thank you for that. Let me walk over. I'm looking over at Rumble, and it looks like Space says, I hate that they removed the requirement for country of origin labels on meat. Absolutely unethical and anti-American. I agree completely. I'm not against if people, I don't know if you prefer whatever, Japanese Kobe meat or you prefer Brazilian. I don't care if you prefer it, but you should know what you're getting. And you should be able to make a decision that might not just be health, but also might be, you might care about your country. All those things might matter. I think we see that in New York. You see with New York beers, we have a lot of breweries in New York, and a lot of hops is grown here. So you have a lot of people who are decide to buy a New York beer and they pay an extra $1 for the beer. They don't care. They're happy to pay for it. Is Space Jason wrong here?
Okay, so I'm going to give this biggest statement. This is the biggest disconnect between the American people and understanding labeling foods. This is the biggest disconnect. And the reason I know about this is I help write the rules for organic meats for the state of Texas. I was the last range-fed first and last range-fed pork guy in 2005. All right. And what happened is under the Go Texan label, they were going to label meats. Well, we have this little small agreement with two countries, Canada and Mexico. It's called the WTO. It's called the
yes.
You with me? Everybody, you got to understand this, because everybody's screaming, you got to have the label on the, no, you can't have the label on the package. You can't do it. Please get out of this fight. If you can get Trump to leave the WTO, then you can change the label. No, you can't. The WTO, Canada and Mexico and America under Clinton agreed that we will not label meats or things that say Mexico, Canada, Scandinavia, apocalyptia, or whatever. And the reason they don't want that label that way is because if you walk in the grocery store, and they know this, you walk in the grocery store and let's say you have aisle America, you have aisle Mexico, aisle Canada, aisle whatever. They know that if it's an American Isle and it has beef steak on it, they know if it costs $1 more a pound, you're going to buy it.
Yeah. You see it in New York. I think you're right. You see it with beers in New York. You see it with wines in New York too. You see New Yorkers pick New York stuff. It's true. You're right. I see it here.
And that trade agreement, and listen, Brooke Rollins didn't even, the head of the USDA didn't even know this till I told her last fall. She didn't even know. She's in this country of labor. And listen, let me just go ahead and say this too. The 4 big packers are not the problem on the prices of beef. Please help me. I'm sorry.
They're not. Why not? Now, hold on. I've heard this before. Explain this. I've heard more than once that that's the problem. So tell me why it's not.
It's not the problem, because the problem is that Walmart, Costco, and Kroger set the price on all foods, folks. Every centimeter in those stores have a little shelf thing there, and there's a computer that sits there, and it tells whether that little centimeter of space is making money or not. Okay? And guess what? If that steak is not bringing the money that it's supposed to at Walmart, Costco, and Kroger's, it's not getting paid, folks. And listen, that's why we've had processing centers. That's why in my farm plan, I said we need to build 10,000 new processing centers. If we build 10,000 new processing centers, then it's all these small farms and it's all this regenerative food. And we go back to farming the old ways. We go back to processing the old ways, and we start doing these things the old ways. We rebuild an agrarian society. And not only that, if you did do it, it would create, for every one farm you create 8 other new jobs. That's 471% ancillary jobs. I know that's a fancy word. I don't know how to spell it, but I can tell you what it means.
It's a good word. I'm happy with this. No problem. Lunatic, thank you for the $10. He says, heirloom and regenerative farming is life. Hemp is a crop of everlasting life. I want to put, hold on, flanges, I'm not sure what that is, on them. Hands, offer still stands. Stop. Lunatic gonna get me in trouble. You are all my people. Self-deletion, no. Offered to Tyre, Odin, yes. For those of you who know, Tyre is a Norse god. He lost one of his hands. He's a one-handed god. And Odin is the all-father. For those people who like the Norse gods, he is the father of Thor. For those of you who don't know, you can now enjoy that. So yes, so obviously Lunatic likes hemp. And I have heard this more than once. I've heard that hemp takes care of CO2. Hemp helps regenerate the land. Hemp can do so many different things. And the cannabis piece is almost like secondary.
Well, listen, in my farm plan, so when Bobby Kennedy was in my farm, I told him if we created 1 million new 40-acre farms, actually there are 120 acres, you farm 40, you run cattle or sheep or hogs or chickens or whatever you want to on the other part, and you rotate. So I want to say something really funny. When I was writing, so I wrote United States of America Regenerative Small Farms and Food Act. The good Lord of the creator of the universe woke me up on November the 9th and said, hey, I need you to write a farm plan for the entire United States of America and get this down. And here's the way it is. And so for 50 straight days and 50 straight nights, me and my team worked on this. I told them what to do, and they typed it out. We boiled down to this, and guess what? When I said, if we do this, while we're doing this, we can transition big ag. And part of the big ag thing was a lot of this ground, listen, hemp and a lot of other plants. I don't know. Mother Nature's got a really, really cool way of taking care of the soil when man's been an idiot. Okay. I can't explain it, but Mother Nature has a really, really cool way of taking care of the problems man has done. And that was one of the big part of the things on the transition on giant ag. But guess what? We're facing Bayer and Monsanto, and they got big guns and big money and big lawyers.
I like that. And you know, what you're talking about is there are a lot of farmers like you who are trying to kind of give us new ideas, showing us the way that independent farmers can be, you know, effective, can be good for the nation. I agree. There's another place where you can hear about that. Do you guys know where that is? I think you know what I'm going to say. Yeah. Well, I was going to say Civil. Of course, I'm going to say Civil. Civil is a sponsor of the show for you guys. Of course, if you want to, head over to Civil, and you can look at this one right here. This is Joel Salatin. He actually did an interview over on Civil, and he's speaking about independent farming right here. You can check it out if you want to. Matt Kibbe tries to show us how cool he is, which is awesome. But then he talks to him actually, which is even better. He actually has a chat with him and talks about Joel Salatin, and he gives you ideas on farming, independent farming, making it safer. It's a great event. I watched this. He actually has spent more time coming to libertarian conventions now. You can see him more and more here. He'll be at the convention here coming up here in May. If you want to see what he talks about, head over to Civil. It is Civil, CIVL.com. The code to get 10% off is Larry10. Larry is the coolest name on the internet. Plus 10 for 10% off. Please enjoy that. Civil. Civil is giving you information without the conflict machine. Just data, look at it. If you don't like it, you can ignore it. If you like it, you can enjoy it. It doesn't matter. Real conversations back and forth. You can learn something and actually make sure your views are correct. We are upgrading civilization at Civil, CIVL.com. The code is Larry10 for 10% off. They are a sponsor of the show. Please help me out. Thank you. Thank you for that, Steve. I got to do a commercial every once in a while. That's all.
So, yeah, that's good. And listen, I didn't know what regenerative farming was until somebody told me. I wrote this farm plan. I wrote this farm plan for RFK and President Trump because God told me to. And somebody says, well, you got to add the word regenerative. I said, well, what's the regenerative mean? They said, oh, that's when you farm a certain amount of ground and you rotate it and run animals on it and plant cover crops. I said, we've been doing that. For 5 generations. I said, yep. That's the catchword on that now. Yep. Regenerative farming is just old farming, folks.
There we go. So Little Frog, thank you for the $2. He says 3 guys in Brooklyn on Fort Hamilton have fruit from upstate. This is a thing that people keep telling me, that we got to be able to take the upstate farmers, grab some stuff and come on down and sell it in the city. That's true. Selling in the city is great. But the problem is there are so many ways the government gets in the way. Mm-hmm. This should be a whole lot easier. Little Frog's correct. You speak about this all the time, Steve, the idea of farm to table, farm to school, farm to restaurant, farm to city, right?
Well, in my farm plan that I wrote for Bobby Kennedy and President Trump, what I did is basically it would take 4 years before any of the food that went from the 1 million regenerative farms would ever even make it to a grocery store. I know this sounds crazy.
That does sound crazy. Why 4 years?
Because we would stockpile national defense, which we don't have enough food to feed the nation if we're at war. My father was head of USDA in Northeast Texas when I was a boy growing up. 20% of all the food in the region there where we were in all of the United States was for national defense. You know, back in the day when Russia was going to drop the big one on us, we all, we hid by our desk, and all that. I was a J. I was by the window with the wire in it. I always thought that, I'm running to the hallway and I'm kneeled down by a wire, and I'm going to get blown away anyway. But my dad always used to talk about the food. I'm giving a little interjection, funny point there. But the thing about it is we don't have enough food in this nation to support our country if we do go to war. Is that funny? Yeah. That's funny, yeah. Right? If we do go to war, we don't have enough food. And that's part of it. So if you start taking regenerative food to feed good soldiers good food, and my understanding is all the MREs right now are all coming out of China that are feeding our military anyway, and they're high in pesticides and glyphosate and a bunch of other heavy metals and all those things like that. So that was 20% of what my farm plan does. Then you had the school lunches.
Oh, hold on. You can't go past MREs without me talking about that now. You're telling me that the MREs that we're getting come out of China?
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's crazy.
That should hurt everybody on watching this thing. That should hurt you right there.
That's why I didn't want you to walk past that. I was like, wow. I don't want that to be true. I don't like that at all. That's terrible. And pesticides too. I used to eat MREs. I was a Marine for 7 years. I used to eat MREs all the time. So yeah, damn, how much Chinese food did I eat? I don't know, but that was the 80s and 90s. So maybe not. Maybe it wasn't that bad then. Who knows? Maybe
probably a lot better back then than it was now. Now let's move to the second part about this. In my farm plan to create 1 million new 40-acre farms, we would change all the school lunches in the United States. It would all come from regenerative farm processing centers. We would go back to the old ways of canning. I know. Viney Weenies, and I know Spam, and I know all that canned stuff y'all look at today has destroyed you. But your grandmama would slap you in the face if you said canned food was no good. She'd pop you upside your head and say you can't tell the difference. And it's true if it's done right in the old ways. And that's what my processing centers had a whole team of people. I still have that team of people that are ready to do this. So you think about, now we've got national defense. Now we've got all the school lunches. Now we're going to tackle all the hospitals and all the senior citizen centers across America. Do you know how much food it takes to feed the Army and Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, all your schools, all your hospitals, and listen, we should be feeding our elderly good food. I'm sorry.
Sure.
We should. Okay.
No, you're not wrong.
Listen, if you go back and read the medical reports from 1920s, good food was one of the number one things for healing. You have to have nutrient dense food. That's what makes you.
You bring
healthy.
up nutrient dense food a lot, and I love that you do, because I think about that. You also bring up the idea that you want to have food like 48 hours after it leaves the ground or after it's slaughtered. Why 48 hours? Why is that the thing?
Well, 48 hours is the key time, because here's the thing. I would challenge anybody. You're in upstate New York. You're kind of in the same planting zone kind of where I am. But them boys down there in southern Mississippi have already planted their new potatoes. And if you're going to grow things down there in the South, like broccoli, well, we used to grow broccoli in the wintertime down there in Texas. And I used to go through there and cut those heads off. Well, you know those little broccoli things, the little pieces that fall off, you know, they're in a bag that's like $12, and you're like, well, I'm watching all these fall off on the ground and I'm losing my mind, right? So I'm eating them in the morning immediately, and I start losing my voice. So I called a buddy of mine and I said, hey, what's up with this? I'm eating this broccoli. He said it's the chlorophyll content is so high in it immediately when you cut it like that and you're eating it. He says, and actually he says your body's going to get addicted to it. And I did. And it's like the vitamin and chlorophyll content is like off the charts.
Wow. So that's the 48-hour thing. I've heard people talk about broccoli that way in the past. I've heard, this is not the first time I've heard this, that once you chop it, you've only got X amount of time or whatever. I don't remember 48 hours, but I remember it's like a certain amount of time before like you begin to lose a bunch of the content. Wow. Okay. Let me grab a couple more of these if I could. Lunatic has got a lot to say. He loves hemp. He says hemp is a crop of the gods. Then he goes on and says hemp paper, textiles, food, medicine, we should end control. That's a man and his balls. Thank you, we the people. Well, I would agree. I'd like more of us to do it, and I think a man should have balls. I agree. Yes. So he's good with that. He really does like hemp. Absolutely. So Lunatic goes on to say he was trained as a child to sacrifice himself to food supply. Great training. I like that. That's true. We have to keep going. We should be trying to do that. Bronner says Monsanto sucks. This is the part that bothers me also, because a lot of people, a lot of farmers, they go to Monsanto not because they like Monsanto, but they feel like it's their only way to keep their farm. And if they don't go to Monsanto, they basically are going to have to lose their farm. It happens in New York all the time. Is the Monsanto piece also a national issue?
The USDA is the problem on this, because the thing about it is what you have to look at is what crops are insured. This is the big catcher. See, if you grow potatoes or you grow broccoli, it's not insured. But if you grow corn, you grow soybean, if you grow those crops, you know, milo, wheat, you grow those crops, they're insured. So you know what that means?
What's that mean? No, tell me, what does that mean?
What that means is that farmer is going to get paid, and that means that John Deere and Monsanto are going to get their check for selling genetically modified seeds and chemicals to make it happen.
Got it. Someone told me, I remember I was talking to a farmer upstate, and he was telling me, he was saying, look, depending on what you sell, if you do the right thing, what the government says, you don't even have to grow your farm because you get paid no matter what. So even if you don't grow, even if something fails, you don't care, because I guess it must be the insurance piece. He's like, it doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to get paid. The government's going to pay you. So why would I grow a non-Monsanto, non-soy, non-corn when I have to gamble? But if I grow the one the government tells me to grow, I get paid no matter what. Is that what you're talking about?
There's three things. You've got subsidies, okay? the money the farmer makes off the crop, and you got insurance. But the farmers are not making money. This is the problem people don't understand now. They've been driven into this corner, and wheat was $5 a bushel in December. Wheat was $5 a bushel in 1984 when tractors didn't cost $1 million. Listen,
Wow.
if you look at the bushels of corn price for the futures right now, corn is at $4.85. And I just want to say this, Larry, let me just tell you this. This bullshit that President Trump and Brooke Rollins came out with, this $12 billion, we're going to, subsidize the farm and give them $12 billion.
I remember that. Yep.
Corn lost $16 billion by itself.
That's
corn
not going to work
alone, period.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds good, but it's not a big deal.
Listen, Bobby Kennedy and his milk mustache with him and Kid Rocks and Brooke Rollins standing by the mailbox drinking milk while the damn country burns to the ground. You got to be on crack or something, because Kid Rock and Bobby Kennedy look like they just got off meth when they did that commercial. And the fact of the matter is the issue is nobody really understands that $840 million to regenerative ag is like pissing in the ocean expecting it to turn yellow.
There we go. Okay. I like that one. Sarah says, great topic, Larry. I'm a 20-acre small farmer, organic pastured meat and eggs, next to a Christmas tree farm that has helicopters spraying 3 times a year. Please make it stop. There's a second piece, right? Now, if I'm a farmer, but I got the guy next to me who's pouring the chemicals in, isn't it going to affect me too? Isn't she right?
Well, dicamba just got, listen, dicamba has been beat in the United States 2 times in a row in the last 20 years not to be used. And dicamba is a spray that has huge drift. That's the biggest reason that dicamba got knocked out. And guess what? Bobby Kennedy's screaming all this stuff. He's got his pom-poms out, spent $8.1 million on Mike Tyson on the Super Bowl. And what in the hell does Mike Tyson have to do with regenerative food and farming? I have no idea what that connection is. Please, somebody give me a cigarette. Let me play in the freeway. Because the fact is that this stuff is nonsense. These chemicals, and listen, if I was you and you got the Christmas tree next to you, I would just try to move your farm, try to sell your place and move to a place where you don't have that problem. Because dicamba and these chemicals that are getting, and listen, the people are all worried about glyphosate. The brand spanking new mRNA spray for potatoes has never been used before in American history, is coming out this spring. It's going to genetically alter all potatoes. It's a disaster. I'm a big potato farmer, so it's a disaster.
Sarah goes on to say, hey, Sharpies, anyone read Restorative Agriculture by Mark Shepard? Amazing book. So she has a book for you guys to read for those of you who care. Do you know that author, by the way? Steve, do you have another author?
I don't read well. I just farm well.
There we go. I'm with you. I listen a lot.
I'm a good listener. Yeah.
There we go. I listen a lot. All right. Let me, D says they get fat because it doesn't keep their stomach full. They don't even get me started on the bullshit claim that oatmeal is supposed to keep us full. Well, there we go. I think this is kind of what you're saying. If the body doesn't recognize it as food, then you're always still hungry, right?
Well, and let me just say this, oatmeal is the number one sprayed with glyphosate of all the grains. And I have a good friend of mine who's had some health issues on and off all her life. And so for 15 years, she's really had to, anybody out there listening, like you got friends like this, or maybe you're like this yourself, you really have to watch what you eat, or like your body like tells you like, we're not doing anything today. So she ate for 15 years, all regenerative food, everything else. She just had her blood tested last week. Her glyphosate levels are 4 times what the human body is supposed to be. And she has not eaten anything, and she doesn't eat any grains or any breads.
So how'd that happen?
They have to be spraying this stuff from the atmosphere too. I'm sorry. That's why Trump did the executive order deal. I'm sorry. Has to be.
Wow.
the NATO and American plane, they got to be putting this in there. And I have tons of video on that show my fields and my trees burnt, and that's what it looks like. I can't say it because I'm not a scientist, but yeah.
Wow. By the way, Brawna noticed your buck in the background, and he likes it. Just so you're aware, he liked it. So yeah, there we go. Yes. All righty. HVAC says we can't grow bananas in Iowa. We can't grow oranges in Iowa. I guess HVAC soldiers in Iowa. So yes, there we go. Let's see here. Strayer says tallow stores for a while, right? At what price can you make / sell local tallow? Can you compete with the garbage price? So is that something you can compete with? Can you make tallow cheaper and make it stay?
Okay, we got to get rid of this word of good food and cheaper. Okay, this is
okay.
Please stop saying this. Okay, stop saying beef is too high if you're paying $9 a pound for a hamburger, because you're paying $17.50 for Snickers a pound. Please help me. You're paying $9.88.
Whoa! What do you mean Snickers a pound? Say it again.
Well, you're complaining about what beef prices are, but you didn't check the pound per price on Oreo cookies, which is $13.85 a pound, and Lay's potato chip. See, this is the problem. We've been brainwashed. You have to stop thinking this way. And
so
wait
what
a minute.
You're saying is, if I looked at a pound of beef and I'm upset because it's $9, but if I took a pound of Oreos or a pound of Snickers, it'd be a whole lot more. And so why am I complaining? Beef is way better than Snickers or Oreos.
Well, Oreos, I think right now, if you figured up, it's about $13.58 a pound. Lay's potato chips are about $9.58 a pound. Figure it up. Snickers are like $17.58 a pound. Ice cream is like $11.58 a pound. And you're bitching about hamburger meat? Please help me.
I hadn't really thought. I mean, I rarely eat junk food myself, but I get the idea. Every once in a while, I do have some here or there. My daughters once in a while have some, but I get your point. It isn't that bad. I've always said to myself, I spend a lot of money on food. I also live in New York City, so it's harder for me to get it compared to being in a farm area. But no, I get it. It's true. When you think about it, that's true. So, but let me go back to the tallow piece, because is if they're getting lab-made tallow out of Spain, is it because it's just so cheap? Can we not make it cheaper here? Or should I just say, I don't care if it's cheaper, I just want better tallow?
There's only approximately about 16 to 22 pounds. I'm just going to talk about a certain type of fat. It's called kidney fat. It's around the kidneys on the inner part of a cow. This is not talking about leaf fat that's on the outside of a cow. This is not lard. This is not coming off a hog. This is kidney fat. Kidney fat is the best tallow you can make. It has no taste. It makes the best French fries. It's the healthiest for you. It makes the best of anything. Your chefs all use it, kidney fat. Here's what I want people to do. What I want you to do is I want you to go to your processor and I want you to go buy some kidney fat. And I want you to Google search and watch all the YouTubes. You can actually buy my farm school. I show you exactly how to render tallow. I show you how to cut up the kidney fat, how to do it, all that. And then when you're done with it, I want you to punch yourself in the face, because this is the thing about it is it takes forever. It's long hours. It's hard work to get that tallow right. And people say, we want it cheaper, or can we not do it cheaper? No, that's why lab grown works, because it can do it for pennies on the dollar.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. I get it. That's why it's heavy. Okay. HVAC says the one thing to remember is government has made agriculture profitable by limiting who grow what? Corn and soybeans. That's what farmers grow in Iowa to make profit. Same thing in New York. The government has decided what they want you to do, and that's how you survive. I think it's the same thing in New York, 100%. I agree with that. The next thing I'm going to bring up is here. Australia says the truck farms are becoming solar fields. This is the second piece I want to bring up here too, which is we find here in New York, I don't know if this is across the country, but that farmers are trying so bad to survive that they're just accepting solar panels all across their fields just to make enough money to survive so they can keep other parts of their farm going. Is this across the country, or is this just a New York State problem?
Listen, my farm in Como, Texas, right now, my neighbor he just sold 600 acres to put a solar farm there in East Texas. And the reason is because The money that they're paying for this is insane. And let me just tell you this. I will tell you, if you go look up the EPA and the FDA studies on this, these solar farms, that are the old solar farms that they're ripping out, you're not allowed to grow potatoes on them because the dust that came off the solar things have heavy metals and aluminum and barium and strontium. And it's outlawed to grow potatoes on this ground. So once you put these solar panels and all these things in, that ground is over forever for growing food.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's the government putting stuff in. And by the way, talking about government being involved, talking about government giving out subsidies, I want you guys to do me a small favor. Head on over to theadvocates.org. Yes, theadvocates.org. There's a link directly in my description on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Rumble. Click that specific link. Head over there when you have a chance. And as soon as you're done, I want you to go over to the economics part of the articles and look for this specific one. American farmers received a large amount of government aid in 2019. This is before the COVID lockdowns. Read the article. Tell me what you think about it, whether you like it or not, whatever it is, please read it. Once you're done, do two things. I want you to grade it, and then I want you to share it. I don't care if you like it. Say it's a terrible article. Say it's a great article. Say you love it. I don't care. I want you to grade it, and then I want you to share it. I want more people coming to this page. This is the Advocates for Self-Government. The more people who come to this page, the more people will start talking about how we can get things done locally without having to deal with the federal government for everything. We can support ourselves locally in our local communities. The Advocates for Self-Government, they are a sponsor of the show. This is free. Please go over, read one of these articles, grade the article, and then share the article so more people will come here. It's theadvocates.org. Thank you guys so much. They are a sponsor of the show. So I got a lot of comments. They just keep coming. You've got people thinking about this one, Steve. So I don't know if you know here. 99 says, Larry, I'm big into regenerative ag, and I do a lot of what Steve is saying, but I want to push back on a couple of things. First is plowing. He'd call me a purist, but plowing helped cause the Dust Bowl. Do you think plowing is a bad idea?
Well, the creator of the universe wrote in the Bible, says, he who does not plow his field in the winter is a fool.
So I think he's got you on that one. I don't know. I'm just teasing. So yeah, I think a lot of people are concerned because they want to do what's the right thing. They often don't know what the right thing is, right?
Larry,
they often don't know what it is.
Larry, listen, on a small farm, when you're a small family farm like I was, I had 3 kids and my wife, and we had 40 acres and we farmed. We're not trying to destroy the soil. The soil is our life. We understand what it does. And if you look at all the Dust Bowl and all that stuff, really and truthfully, that was the Dust Bowl because they were trying giant ag. They plowed and plowed and plowed and planted the same crop over and over and over. And they did the same thing over and over. And the real good agricultural farmers never have done that. I would have never done a field that way, ever.
There we go. Fran says, Ohio is absolutely destroying the hemp industry, and it drives me crazy. Yeah, I see it everywhere. The states are trying to control it versus letting the farmers do what the farmers do. I see that constantly. Ken says,
but here's the thing about it is the thing about it is on your hemp thing is y'all are missing the big picture. You guys are looking at the local government or the state government, and this is Bill Gates telling everybody that you're not doing this because climate change is real and the earth is warming or cooling or it's turning purple or red or yellow. And these guys are ones paying our congressmen. That's your problem, folks. Get off the people in your local and state level saying that the hemp is blah, blah, blah. You can't do this. No, it's Bill Gates and the WEF and the UN and all the WHO and all those assholes. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
That's fine.
No, listen. It's all them telling them that's all just propaganda coming down the food chain. Learn what's true.
Ken says Ron Paul was right, as a quote is always appropriate. True. He's right so often. It's like always true. He's absolutely right. Well, Shelley brings up something interesting. Shelley says, grew up on a 250-acre farm with only a few beef cows, chickens, veggies, and hay. We can't do this anymore because you need to go to work and the kids and feed the kids and work. Yes, that's the issue because you have to go to work. It's very tough because you can't make enough money. She goes on to say Cuomo, who, by the way, if you don't know, Steve, was our former governor.
I actually know. Yeah, I know.
Okay. The Farm Act kept families from training their children how to farm. I know they were trying to break up small farms, and sadly, it's working. It's working.
I want to tell you that I have 3 of the greatest children in the United States of America, if not the world. And let me tell you why they are. Because my daughter is a model, and she models for some big agencies. She's in New York quite often. Do you know that when she was 10 years old, you know what she did? She ran the tractor on the potato digger. You know what? She understands getting up in the morning and going to work, and that life is hard, and what you sow is what you reap. And that's the problem. People have lost the thing. And listen, your government knows that if they destroy the ideology of the law of reciprocity, whatever a man sows, that's what he'll reap. If they destroy that, they know that they will have the upper hand. And that's what they've done. You know what you need to do? Listen, Larry, you need to do a t-shirt, and here's the way it is. You're going to run for governor. You're going to be the governor, and it's going to be the Mennonite bird. Y'all follow me? It's the Mennonite bird. I'm trying to be nice. We're going to grow our own food and do our own thing. Screw off government.
I like that. Adrian
It's
says
the Mennonite bird, folks. It's not the regular one, please.
Okay. Hemp makes nice fabric. We could start making nice fabric in our country again. I think a lot of people would have that. Right? I mean, people would jump on that. It could be a cool thing people would want to do. The youngsters would say it's retro or whatever, right? They would do whatever. They'd make it cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
And then that's great. Brian says, good Tuesday evening to future Governor Sharpe and all Sharpies watching. Thank you. I appreciate that. People do care. I do like that. So, all right, let me grab a couple more of these if I can. Michael says, I love marijuana. It creates that enjoyable high. Well, enjoy marijuana, my friend. I'm glad. I'm sober, but I let people who want to get high enjoy as they want. Brana also loves marijuana. He says so. The older I get, the more medicinal, but I do enjoy the buzz as well. So we have some people who like to imbibe. Oh, good for them. Are you an imbiber? Do you want to tell me? Maybe you don't want to say anything.
Well, let me just tell you this. Let's skip the part about getting high. So I'm a 5th generation farmer, and listen, marijuana, there are so many things about the oils that are used that are from these plants. And listen, I have used these things on my animals, not on myself, but on animals, that is so healing to these animals. There are things you can do. I have an apothecary book, has all this stuff in it. It's on my website, sas-usa.com. That apothecary book tells you what to do with these things. And you know what frustrates me? When I was in the fight with the government about trying to create all these new farms, all these marijuana farmers started calling me. You know why they called me?
No.
Because you guys, they're going to outlaw that stuff, all that CBD oil and all that stuff that they've got. Yes. They're going to outlaw that. That goes into effect October 1st. What the hell is wrong with you? You know why they want to do that is because Big Pharma wants to use the synthetic stuff and put it into medicines when the real stuff. And listen, I love my small marijuana farmer guys. You know why? Listen, you want to get high? Fine. I want the product out of it to use on my animals. Because because I can tell you this, if you take that CBD oil and you take several other products and you mix them together and you got a horse that's lame, you can fix that horse. I'm telling you. And this is the problem. And Big Pharma knows this, Larry. They know this stuff.
Absolutely. Rye Sticker says, my friend is an organic farmer in Maine, and they won't let him sell his chicken as being from Maine because his peeps come from PA. Oh, because they came from, well, that's weird. So if he imports his peeps from Maine, from PA, he can't sell them in Maine? That seems odd. Why would the government care? Go ahead, tell me this, please.
All right, this goes to this country of label origin bullshit. And let me just tell you this. Last summer, I sat in front of Callie Means, and if everybody knows who Callie Means, you should know who Callie Means is. I sat in front of him. I said, if you guys continue this way, the way you're going, and all the people that are advising Brooke Rollins, I said, the policies you are writing right now are the same bullshit policies that destroyed all the farms in the South. I said, because you guys are going to do this restrictive labeling bullshit, And what's going to happen is the guy that is farming in Maine, okay? So it's closer to the town that has the butcher shop, in the next state over is 2.5 miles, and it's 93 miles to the locker plant the other direction in his own state. So, but you can't say, are y'all following me on this? I know. Help me,
so
please.
You're saying because of a state being large, the chance that going across the border may actually make more sense.
Yeah, because it might be 2 miles.
Got it. Okay, I see. So you're worried more about distance than you are state borders.
Well, your farmer's worried about distance because hell, he's worked 16 hours a day, and he wants to be in bed with mama at least some time of the night, and he can't drive 93 miles one way and 93 back. And now you want the stuff he sells for cheap. I'm sorry, this is the problem. And I told these guys this. I said, if you do this shit and label thing, you're going to destroy these farms across this country.
Kimberly says the only war we need, and I will back, is a war against Monsanto and all the other chemical junkies. I get it. I understand it completely. I think we have to. So
okay, I'm going to tell her she's false.
Tell me.
You're wrong. Okay,
go ahead. Tell me why.
I'm going to tell her she's wrong. And then here I'm going to tell you this. When I went to Washington, D.C., all the people that are on the big Monsanto Bayer fight, everybody wants to fight Bayer Monsanto. Everybody wants to talk about David and Goliath, and we're going to win. No, you're not going to win. When I went to Washington, D.C., I said, here's what I'll do. Here's my farm plan. This is what I'm going to do. I will not get in the pesticide, glyphosate, all that stuff, immunity bullshit fight. I said, because they have 543 lawyers for every person that wants to get in this fight, and they can drag our ass out for 25 years, whether they win or lose. And nobody listened to this shit, including RFK. Let me finish this thought.
Okay, good.
Because the thing about it is, what if you create 1 million new farms that don't use this stuff, then you don't have to be in the fight.
So what you're saying is, if I hear you right, you're saying don't bother making the fight. Just go off and do your own thing and don't use it, and you don't care.
There's none of us left hardly, though. The guys that farm this way forever without these chemicals we're almost all in the bone pile.
I see it. That's my worry. My worry. I see it. I see farmers in New York State in a spot where they have basically three choices: one, solar panels; two, Monsanto; or three, it's a hobby because they can't afford it. They got to have jobs doing that stuff. Their farming becomes a hobby.
Or sell the damn thing for $1 bajillion and go to the Caribbean.
Oh, well, yes, or sell. But to your point, there's a lot of them that are 6th generation, 7th generation in New York State. They don't want to do that. They want to keep the farm, but they're in a spot where they can't. And I think they just want to fight about it. So I get it. Okay, I see your point is what I'll say. I see your point.
Thank you.
D says 100% that oatmeal is the worst sprayed. I didn't know that. D knew that, I guess. So there we go. Love that. Fran says, when the body doesn't recognize real food, it ultimately goes into starvation, which slows metabolism and hinders weight loss. Oh, there we go. So Fran's got some science behind what you said. There we go. So there we go. I love that. All righty. Let me keep going down here. Grab some of these. All right. A lot of people now talking to themselves. So that's great. Australia's joking. He's like, thank you. Check the price for Pop-Tarts. I think Pop-Tarts are pretty expensive by the pound also. So
somebody should do that while we're in the meeting. What's Pop-Tarts a pound, folks? Somebody do the math real fast.
Yeah, Kim says great way to compare prices. I think it's true. We should be checking the math. What am I getting? What's the value I'm actually getting? 99 goes, that's actually apples to oranges. I think he's asking directly about the competition between products. Tallow doesn't compete with Snickers. Also, what 99 is saying is there's not a competition when it comes to, say, tallow and Snickers. But it depends on how you look at that, Lana. Are you looking, if you have nutrient-dense food, then it is apples to apples. If it's not nutrient-dense food, I think that would make sense. Depends what you're looking at, right?
Well, let me just tell you this. I was sprayed by the military in 1989 working cattle in the Flat Top Wilderness area. I spent 7 years on my deathbed. I was in Mayo Clinic. They sent me on to die. I went home and ate my own food that I grew, and I've came out of it and lived. And I haven't been to a doctor in 35 or a dentist in 35 years. So listen, here's the issue, folks. Go get all your cheap ass food, but let's check your medical bills. See what those
know. I'm with you. I've been caring about my food tremendously for the past 15 years. I don't go to doctors anymore. I'm with you. I go to a dentist maybe once every 4 or 5 years. I go to a doctor only when I run for office because I have to have I have to have a checkup to run for office. But that's it. Otherwise, I agree with you. So people are with you on the kidney fat. Kimberly says it's the best. Shelly says true. So people are with you on that when they get it. I guess I got some farmers here. Shreya, same thing. Kidney fat's great. So yeah, we got some stuff here. I love it. The people are they're with you on this one. I guess they're farmers. So there we go. All righty. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. There's so many of these. Let's see here. Most of the people now are talking to themselves, which is fine. So Phil says, Steve Jarvis sounds like a spicy mother. Well, I think just Steve is passionate. I'll say that. How about it? Does that work, Steve? Does passionate work?
Well, let me just tell you this. The 1 week after Bobby Kennedy came to my farm when Stephanie Spears was here with him, and she is his chief staff director.
Yep.
You know, she's the top dog in the deal. And she fired the guy that was working with me in DC in order to get all my policies across the board. When she fired him, I called for the resignation of her in an online IG. You go to my Instagram, Out of the Wild 3D. I called for a resignation while I was flying into DC, and that's how I meet people. Here's the deal. I'm a no bullshitter. I'm not on the government's page. I tell the truth how it is. And listen, I'm here to save America. And if you want to save America and you don't have an agrarian lifestyle, it's over, folks. Just face it. The Amish are going to survive, and you're not.
You're not wrong. They're growing. Most who don't know, the Amish communities are still growing. So Braun is with you. He says marijuana oils are extremely helpful for muscles and joints. Makes sense. It will be helpful for animals as well. So a lot of people are jumping on board. So that's good. There we go. Kimberly says, I stand behind this man. It's not the fight, but how the fight is fought. Oh, I like that. There we go.
Good job. Thanks, Kimberly.
I like that. There we go. We are on board. That's good. So D says, Larry's doctor wants him on pills, even though his levels are good. That's true. My doctor tried to get me on statins. It's a true story. She remembers the story. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, it's preventative. I said, but my numbers are good. Yeah, but it's preventative. I'm like, but I don't have a problem. She wanted to put me on pills just in case. Of course I said no, but just crazy that's what she thought. So yeah. Anyway, I just think that's kind of interesting. So let me ask you, Steve, before we wrap this up, I know we got to run here. Is there anything I've missed? By the way, if anyone wants to check him out, please, you can see his link is in the description on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on Rumble. You can see his website right here is sas-usa.com. And also you can check him on X on Out of the Wild 3D on X if you want to. Did I miss anything, Steve?
Listen, Larry, we got to do this again. There's so much more we need to cover, but listen, we've got a problem in the United States of America and the leaders of our nation. I will tell you this, folks, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, those guys, the top three, I met with them. Those guys understand it. But what I've been told just in the last few days is they will not step on Brooke Rollins' toes in order to change what's going on in America. So if you go to my website and you look under the links, you'll see that I've written a plan called PEAD. It's Presidential Emergency Agriculture Directive. And what it would do is it would completely change the financial structure of American agriculture. And would go from 1% to 4%. And then they could restructure this. It would completely save America's. And we're losing 63 farms and ranches per day under this administration. God bless you, Larry.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's a lot. All right. So Phil says you are spicy Matthew McConaughey. That's who you are.
Thank you.
So there we go. That's good. Steve, I want to say thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Someone just asked me, what is the X again? Look at the bottom right now. You'll see it. Out of the Wild 3D, Mike. Out of the Wild 3D is his X account. Please go ahead and follow that.
Yeah, and Instagram is probably better. Out of the Wild 3D on the Instagram is probably better.
There we go. So Instagram too, Out of the Wild 3D. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for giving me a bit of your afternoon. I will be back tomorrow. I will see you all very soon.